Good morning. Today we're focusing on close reading Earth the Gift Shop for the second time. As we do so, we're going to focus on the essential questions. Number 4, what's literary text really about? And 5, how does interaction with text provoke thinking and response? As we close read, we're going to be looking at a different section and reading through it for 3 times, what the text says, for how the text says it, and for why the text matters. Here's your new section. It is 3 specific paragraphs, give or take a couple lines here. And as you read through it the first time, please read it to create a summary of the text. As we read for creating a summary of the text, we are focusing on learning target number 5 to create an objective summary of the text. Your summary needs to be a brief restatement of the most important points centered around the conflict. Since this is a fictional piece, we don't add any personal opinions, and we only include the facts of what's actually happening within this specific section. Make sure you write it in a beginning, middle, and end format, and make sure you don't include quoted evidence in your summary. In the second phase of reading, we're going to read for how the text says it. As you reread this section, we're looking for the word choice in the form of phrases used by the author. I want you to reread that text and look for unique phrases that jump out at you that the author uses in this section. And then answer the question, how does the author use the phrase in the passage? For this phase, you do need to cite text evidence to support your response. And you want to begin using the sentence starter. So you begin with the author uses the phrase, and then pick a phrase out of there. So as you reread, look closely. What are some unique phrases that you notice? Again, I say phrases, so don't use full sentences. Like that would be a full sentence. Do not use a full sentence. This final thing right here would be a full sentence. Do not use a full sentence. Look for specific phrases within sentences and find your favorite and figure out why you think the author chose to include that specific phrase. Again, not a specific word. I want you to look at phrases in this case. So groupings of words that you think help to add to the text. So as you reread it and you find that specific phrase, you're going to pick one, put it in that blank of the sentence starter, and then decide why they're using it. Is it to reveal something, to suggest something, to show something, to indicate something, to imply or hint at something, to emphasize something? Maybe it's to foreshadow something, which is to hint at something to come in the future, or is it to highlight something? Remember the ellipse, those 3 dots, mean that you must finish the sentence after you pick your sentence starter. And after you finish that opening sentence, we call that your claim. You're then going to move into your evidence and find evidence to support your claim, and then follow your evidence with your full sentence analysis. As we do phase 2, you're going to be focusing on learning target number 11. To determine how the author uses the meaning of words or phrases, including figurative and connotative meanings in the text. Remember, that means to decide how the author used, in this case, phrases, both in a figurative way, which means not literal, but rather metaphorical, and a connotative way, which means we're focusing on the feeling or implied meaning of that phrase or phrases that you pick from that section. And as you do this, use a sentence starter, you will be using one of those key words of to reveal, suggest, show, indicate, imply, emphasize, foreshadow, or highlight what. Why is the author using that phrase? When you create that whole sentence starter, you're in fact working on learning target number 2 to make a claim in the form of an inference, generalization, or conclusion drawn from what you've noticed in the text. Make sure that you fully make that claim as your beginning opening sentence of your paragraph, and then you will follow it with learning target number 1 to cite your text evidence. Make sure your evidence is quoted word for word from that excerpt, and that cited evidence should be followed with a full sentence analysis, connecting your evidence back to your claim. In phase 3, we're reading for why the text matters. As we read for why the text matters, you're going to be rereading for the following question. Reread the text. How does the setting impact the characters in the passage? Cite text evidence to support your response. So yesterday we looked at how the setting impacted the narrator. Today we're looking at how the setting impacts other characters, not the narrator at all. We did that yesterday. This is other characters. And in this story, that's sort of inferred. You have to kind of decide, who are these other characters as you think about how to answer this. And also, we talked about how impact means that emotional personality impact that this setting has on the characters. So what is that emotional personality impact this setting has on the characters within the piece? Not the narrator, the other characters. You're going to begin your response with the following. Use the, and then put in an adjective that you would describe the setting. That could likely be the similar to what you said yesterday for the description of the setting, as long as you were accurate in your description of the setting yesterday. Causes, and then pick a specific character. Again, this is a little bit more inferred of who these other characters are, but you're going to want to give that character, I mean, if it has a specific name for that character, then give that, but I don't think this piece has that. So maybe decide who that character is, but because there are other characters in the story, but we have to label who or what that character is. To feel, and then give a feeling for that character. And then after that, use the ellipse and finish that with the reasoning. So remember that ellipse means finish off that sentence with your reason for the character feeling that way because of the setting. And then follow that sentence with your cited evidence to support your response. As we read through this, just like yesterday, we are looking at learning target number 6 to analyze how particular elements of a story, in this case, how the setting impacts other characters, not the narrator, but characters in the piece. Remember, you want to be specific. Who are your characters? In this particular story, we don't have character names, but if we did have character names, we would put character names. But in this story, we don't. And after you do that with who the character is, then explain how it made them feel and finish off that sentence to completion. And follow that with your cited evidence. As we make that opening statement, and use that sentence starter, we are making a claim. So that's learning target number 2, to make a claim in the form of an inference, conclusion, or generalization drawn from the text. It doesn't come right out and tell you that the character felt that way. You are inferring it from what you are noticing in the text. You're going to support your inference with cited text evidence in the form of direct quote from the text, and follow that direct quote with a full sentence analysis. And that will complete today's close reading. Go ahead and get to work.